All right. Welcome to Starlight Man Channel. This is not gonna be a long video because this should be very short, but I just want to be consistent because I was talking to somebody about we was talking about sexual urges, right? And whether you talk about sexual urges, but a person having a dealing like a problem with like masturbation, like solo, like having a problem with themselves, or a person having sexual urges as far as always feeling like they need to go have sex with somebody else, whether that's through prostitution, whether that's just through just hoeing and being a player, whatever you want to call it. And I was breaking down to him. We was talking about. I feel like, and this goes for anybody that's dealing with it from any spectrum. Whether you lost into having sex with other people and you got to pay prostitutes for money, or you in a situation where you just a hoe in general and you having sex with everybody that you get a chance to have sex, like you just overly addicted to sex in general. No matter how you get it, you just overly addicted. But especially with people that have like masturbation issues and like problems with stop quitting those habits themselves. I was saying that the one thing I realized about it is this. Like I said, this goes for everybody that deals with that type of stuff. But people don't realize, especially like in like let's say the semen retention communities, no fat communities, all that stuff, tantra. You gotta realize it's two types of sexual urges. It's not just one sexual urge. Like they'll give you good exercise and practices, right? Like a lot of times, like let's say like in the tantra community and sexual cultivation, sexual transmutation, a lot of times they say really good stuff. Really ain't no buts about it. It's just you realize when they be saying stuff like, okay, circulate that sexual energy through blood. Okay, that's right. Like exercise, um, like getting the blood flowing, massage, stretching, that's relieving the tension, getting that energy flowing. That's true. Tai Chi, Qigong, all that's true, that's real. But one thing you realize in that is not that that's limited, but guess what? That's dealing with if you have physical sexual energy problems, aka you have a pent up, built up amount of pent up sexual energy. Either you got too much libido or you got too much energy. Like what they say that energy gets stuck in the genitals, stuck in the root chakra. So you got to be able to transmute throughout the body. That's very true. But that's only if you're dealing with a physical sexual urge problem, aka you have too much physical sexual energy, too much sexual energy built up, too much libido, too much um, actual sexual vitality that needs to be transmuted and not just pinned up in one area. 100% yes, when that's the case. But a lot of times, a lot of people have more so I like to call mental sexual urges. So meaning their sexual urges and their addictions don't come from having too much pent up energy trapped in the root chakra and they need to transmute that because it's too much thought out. No, I feel like that won't help them as much. What's gonna help them um, is gonna be different because they're dealing with more so it's more mental with them. You got physical sexual urges and you got mental sexual urges. The physical ones are like I just named. You got too much sexual energy pent up in one area, but that's actual sexual energy. But if you mental sexual urges be different because you can be a person you may not even be horny. You might not have no sexual libido or nothing like that you feel, but you are already addicted to a certain pattern of doing something. So you're not even doing it to fulfill like, oh, I need to get my rocks off. It's not even like that. It's like you just addicted to it in general. Same way a person is smoking a cigarette because they're trying to get that high. Or they, you see what I'm saying? It's not, isn't that's like it's kind of like that. Yeah, like more mental, because that's it's more like that's more. I hate to say it, but that's more like drug like, because it's like it's mental now. You're not trying to get your rocks off or do something by yourself or constantly be addicted to having multiple sex 20 times a day because you got so much energy, sexual energy, you might not have no sexual energy at all. It might take forever to get yourself up through self stimulation, and then you finally drain the last bit. You are shooting out blanks, whatever. But it don't matter. You still addicted to that pattern in general. You see what I'm saying? So you addicted to that pattern in general. And so when you talk about someone like that with a mental sexual urge, those physical transmutations are really good, but they're not gonna help a person like that. Those sexual transmutations are only gonna help a person that's dealing with high sexual energy, or even if it's not high sexual energy, just sexual energy in general that's just stuck in one area. So they may need to stretch, transmute that energy that because of circulation. They may need to exercise that circulation that'll help transmute that physical sexual energy and libido throughout the body and pent up sexual energy that's stuck in one area, in the genitals and the root chakra. Um, like I said, yoga, stretching, exercise, get like a massage, getting like massage, anything that dealing with relaxing the body, because that's easing tension and allowing your energetic energies and currents to flow naturally. All that is perfect for when you have a lot of sexual energy like that. That's different, yes. But I'm gonna be honest with you. If you're a person, you know, who got a mental sexual urge, those ain't really gonna help you as much because those aren't really the core of your problem. Now, some people may say, "Oh yeah, but we teach in these classes that it's important in general because when you circulate the energy, When your energy is not circulated, it stays trapped in the genitals, and that leads you to have an excessive sexual thought. That leads you to not see or think nothing else but sex all day. You think about it, that's all you can think about. It's harder for you to put that energy in other areas. And I ain't gonna say that that's not true, but what difference does it make if that's not your main root cause of why you got that urge anyway? The main root cause ain't from a physical point of view. So you're not even dealing with your physical sexual energy to even say in the first place that the energy is trapped somewhere for you to manifest having those thoughts, because it's not your energy being trapped and lodged somewhere that's manifesting you having those thoughts. If you not having a whole bunch of sexual energy was never the root and start a cause, a problem of the reason why you got your urge in the first place. So I wouldn't use that either. So I would come to the point of realizing that, okay, if you got a mental sexual urge, the best thing that you can do is do things that more so cater to the mental. Really, you could say internal. Same thing, mental, internal. Because when a person is, because when you talk like that, listen, when you got a person that's lost to a mental sexual urge, at that point, it's no different than saying a person that got a cigarette addiction, a drug addiction, an alcohol addiction, whatever type of addiction they got. That's actually like an actual drug addiction at that point. And what I say is because when you got a lot of sexual energy down there and it's a physical sexual urge, it's different. Your main problem is just your energy not being transmuted throughout your body. So a lot of times I hate to say it, but you better off because a lot of these practices can help you because your main problem is you just got too much sexual energy pent up. So it's forcing you to think about sex more than you want to do, and it's not being healthy for that energy to flow throughout the exercise and practices. You're gonna be greatly helped because that was the start of your problem. If you got physical sexual urges, and that's the main thing. But when you got mental sexual urges, it's a little bit different because those not the roots of your problem. So anything that because it's more so like an actual drug addiction almost at that point. It's on that level. I'm not saying you got a drug addiction, but I'm saying it's in that same category. You got to treat it the same way. You see what I'm saying? Because it's more mental at this point. That's more of a mental addiction, a mental sexual addiction. So trying to do physical things sound good, but that's not really gonna help you in the long run. So the best thing that you could do when you got a mental sexual urge is the same thing a drug addict could do. Slowly do other things in your life that one help take your mind off of it a little bit, but even more so important than that, because really, that's just a subsidiary. That helps, and that's because that's what you want to adopt in general, so you don't be idle-minded, so you don't be thinking about it all day too, since it's mental. But really, that's not even the primary. The real primary I'm going to tell you now, what you should do if you got a mental sexual addiction is this. You gotta treat it like I say, just like a drug addiction, in the sense of you gotta fulfill within you whatever you feel like you externally lack for you to be forced to pay so much attention to that area in the first place. That's how you kill a sexual mental addiction. And that's really all mental addiction, but specifically to about sexual mental urges. That's what that is. When you got a mental sexual urge, that's much different because that means you just stuck in a certain pattern of doing something, whether you in the mood or not. It's like you trying to reach that next high. And a lot of times, it is dealing with the root chakra though. So since it's dealing with that though, but it's from a mental point of view, that means mental and internal the same thing. So you gotta mentally put yourself in more areas that sexually satisfy yourself mentally. Don't worry about physically, because it's no matter how hard you try, it's not a physical problem. So you may do a little exercise a day, you may transmute and feel good that 1 to 2 days. May last like a day or two, but you feel like, oh, okay, because you don't put yourself in another space. That's all that is. But really, that's why you gonna go end up crashing and going right back to that same old habit and right back to your mental urges. You ain't gonna heal it. And okay. And the reason that is because it's a mental sexual urge. So is it you whatever you do sexually to heal yourself with a mental sexual urge and to stop those habits, it has to be mental. It's not gonna be physical. And I'm not saying physical things can't help overall and help add, but that's more like just an addition to that. That's not the root of your problem. So the main thing you want to do that you want to focus on that's really gonna help you in the end of the day is mental activities that help you fulfill what you feel like you lack. So as we talk about sexuality, you want to do more mental things and mental exercises and more mental practices and stuff like that tap you into your sexuality so you can internally fulfill that area. Because like I said, anything that's dealing with mental exercise, internal exercise, the same thing, because it's all dealing with something that you lack within for you to have that mental addiction in the first place, for you to always try to reach that next high. It's not like a physical sexual urge where you got just too much sexual energy pent up and it need to transmit throughout the body. That's different. You got a mental sexual urge. So that means you lost and stuck in a pattern of mentally trying to satisfy, fulfill an area that you feel like you lack, because you wouldn't be trying to always fulfill that area, trying to reach that next high, if you was already fulfilled in the first place. And knowing that that does the mental and the internal, and knowing that the area of life that we're referring to and talk about in this instance is sexuality, that means that mentally and internally, it's something that you lack. Either you feel like you lack or you do lack. Usually you do lack it, to be in a situation to feel like you constantly trying to reach that next high and constantly trying to get that next dopamine rush in sexuality. Always trying to reach that next high sexually, because you got a mental addiction. See, a person that got a lot of physical pent up sexual energy might not really deal with that as much, because their main problem a ain't a mental urge. It's they got too much sexual energy pent up, too much libido or sexual energy pent up in their root chakra and genitals, that they need to transmute throughout their body. So stuff that they'll teach in tantra and sexual transmutation, like yoga, um, stretching, massages, all that stuff like that, that transmutes the energy, deep breathing. All that is circulating their prana, they call it chi. All it is just energy, just other words for energy in different cultures. That will circulate all that energy and turn that sexual energy into higher forces and circulate it throughout the body. That will help their urge, because a person that got a physical sexual urge is more so pent up, is more so in a space where they just got more pent up sexual energy. So as soon as they do practices that can transmute and move that energy, they're gonna be fine, because that was their main core problem. That was the root of their problem. But if you got a mental sexual urge, the root of your problem, I'm not saying these things can't help, but they only gonna do is just add to the main thing to focus on in the first place. If you got a mental sexual urge, these physical things ain't gonna help you as much, because that's not the root of your problem. So you want to be in a situation where you are doing more mental exercises, mental practices, internal practices that cater more so towards your sexuality, because that's something that you lack internally. Because the fact that you got a mental problem in the first place means you got an internal problem, because they both correlate the same thing. So the fact you got a mental sexual urge means that you lack something internally that you trying to constantly achieve externally, because you lack it internally. You see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? So you need to be in a situation where, as hard as it may be, I'm not saying overnight you're gonna heal this by doing this. I'm not saying overnight you're gonna heal this in the next day or two that is gonna, but you will start seeing benefits shortly, because that you're reaching the core root of your problem. But you need to understand that though. You see what I'm saying? Um, there's like a lot of people like even when we talk about like specifically self stimulation, right, masturbation, whatever. People that have those issues that are addicted to that nicking style, a lot of times they may be in situations where they externally can't physically attract a partner in their life. But either way, that still bends into them having a mental addiction, because guess what? They still lack something, that they still feel like they lack something, that they need to always keep trying to chase that high to fulfill it. What you realize is you're never gonna fulfill it, because for you to be in a situation of always trying to fulfill it means that that ain't fulfilling. Whatever you think is fulfilling ain't fulfilling if you're always in the space of trying to constantly fulfill it. You see what I'm saying? Making plenty of sense. So you cut into the chase. I say the more you can do things, if you're dealing with, like I said, with a mental sexual urge, the best thing that you can do is being in a situation where, like I say, you do more mental practices, mental exercise, mental activities, more internal practices and all that stuff that deal with sexuality. So that way you end up catering more so to your sexuality, and you fulfill that area. You're gonna, over time, you're gonna end up fulfilling that area. It's not gonna be overnight, but over time you're gonna end up fulfilling that area of your sexuality. And you might start shortly, not right away, but shortly but surely, you're gonna start finding yourself needing less, needing these habits, these sexual habits, less and less, because you're gonna feel more whole within yourself. So you know, oh, I got this energy within myself. I don't have to be as addicted to reaching out something that's externally outside of me, because I already have this energy within myself. And that was to be the biggest reason why I talked about the whole astrology stuff too. Because when I be like, oh, the eighth house deal with sexuality. That's your sexual center. That's your sexual chakra. And when you don't got no energy or planets in that, that's like that's a person who you naturally don't put a lot of energy into these areas. It was at one point where I was like that, because my eighth house was empty. I've dealt with that before too, because I was in a situation I was like, damn, I had learned my eighth house, aka my root chakra, my sexual area of life, was empty, meaning I didn't have no planets in the house. So the astrologers will tell you that means that you have a harder time manifesting sex in your life. You're gonna have a hard time controlling these things, which is true, because you don't have no energy. That energy is your influences. Anytime you got planets or signs in that area of your life, that's your influences. You have control, a little bit more control over that area. But I didn't have any, so it was very hard for me learning myself and stuff like that. I had to go on a deep journey, but I also got to the point where excuse me, hold on. I also got to the point where I realized too, I was like, damn, like how come I don't have that much sexual dreams? Like I was realizing, damn, I don't have that much sexual dreams at all. Like I mean, growing up, I normally realize like I rarely ever like even throughout my whole life, like I rarely had a lot of sexual dreams at all. Now I'm not saying everybody, even if they do got some energy and planets in their house, I'm not saying everybody just walk around having like just thousands of sex dreams like they Hugh Hefner in the spirit realm. I ain't saying that, but one sign of you being a healthy young male, you're gonna have some. Now, goddamn it. Now, if you ain't having none, like I was, you ain't having none. I'm gonna tell you. Listen, hold the fuck on, hold the fuck on. If you ain't having none, this how I knew I was effed up. No matter what I tried to lie to myself and tell myself that I need to do this practice, I need to do this transmutation to transmit energy, I knew right off the bat. I say, damn, if you ain't, and this for anybody, if you ain't having no sexual dreams, that mean your root chakra all calcified, bitch. Ain't no joke. You can think and feel how you want to feel. I don't care how hard it get to control your energy. If you having a hard time control your sexual energy, and you realize that damn, I don't have a lot of sexual dreams either. And sometimes it's not even about not having a lot. It's not always about having a lot of sexual dreams. But if you can't even say like, damn, okay, like I may not even have as much as I want, but every now and then I do catch a sexual dream or so. If you like never really having sexual dreams, that means that's your spirit letting you know right there. Your sexual energy and your sexual center all fucked up. I'm just keeping it real. Your root chakra energy all effed up. In some way, shape, or form, your energy all effed up. And a lot of times that play out just like I say, in the eighth house, aka people that don't pay a lot of attention to that sexual energy, that sexual area of their life. A lot of people don't consciously put in a lot of sexual energy in how do I say it? They don't put a lot of sexual energy or conscious energy work into these areas of their life dealing with their sexuality. So a big thing was me. I realized I wasn't having a lot of sex dreams. I knew my sexual energy was calcified. So I knew all that. That's one thing I knew it was mental too, because I knew I was if I was having those sex dreams, I knew that meant I wasn't putting a lot of sexual energy into my sexual life in general. That mean I wasn't having a lot of internal imagination about my sexuality or nothing like that. Cause for you not to have no sex dreams at all, that means you don't imagine about sex or nothing. That means you don't constantly put in no energy work towards your sexuality, and that's how you end up having a small sexual orb, aka a small root chakra too, and you be able to take advantage of or having a hard time controlling your sexual energy, which is never good, never good. So that's one thing I tell you too, having the because I'm about to end this out, but that's one thing I say too, having the mental sexual urges. It don't matter how many physical exercises and physical transportations you try to do. One, realize that's not the core reason of why you got the problem. It's mental. If you got a mental physical sexual urge, because it's not the pent up sexual energy that's causing you to do these habits. It's just mental energy and you trying to chase that next high, because it's something that you internally lack or mentally lack. Same thing in the first place for you to feel like you need to keep fulfilling it. So it's something externally you lack. So think about it. You're gonna live your whole life doing all these physical transportations, and you ain't never really gonna fully heal yourself or fully be in a situation where you fully come to grips and have full control of your sexual energy, because that was never the starting point in the first place. The starting point was you keep coming back to doing all these sexual habits and being addicted to them, whether you doing it by yourself, masturbation, or you lost into all this sex in the first place with other people or not. The reason why you're addicted is because it's an energy that you lack within your own self. So you feel like you need to constantly keep trying to reach this next high that's outside of you and fulfill that, because it's not fulfilled internally within you. So you doing all these physical exercises ain't gonna do nothing. It's actually you just gonna live all your time, waste some time. I'm not saying that there ain't energy to be developed in all these things, and these don't have their benefits. Everything got its pros and cons to some extent. You still learn to an extent. It's still an experience, sure. That's an addition, yeah. But that's I'm just saying that's not the root of your problem. You have to fight the root of your problem because it goes deeper than just that. You see? And me realizing that I don't have that much sex dreams, I realized that damn, I also don't put in a lot of energy towards my sexual imagination either. AKA I'm not internally feeding that chakra. I don't put a lot of intention or that's attention and awareness. I don't put a lot of awareness into that chakra. No wonder it's calcified. No wonder I'm not having any sex dreams. 'Cause a lot of times you have a lot of sexual imagination, you end up gonna manifest having a lot of sex dreams too. See, everybody not perfect. Everybody not gonna have just a whole bunch of sexual imagination 24/7 like you know Diddy or something like that. But you'll be in a situation too where you want to be healthy, you want to be balanced. You don't want to not have no energy put into this area because it's gonna play out in other areas of life too that deal with that root chakra. That's not just sexual, because even though sexuality is a part of root chakra, it's not the only thing that deal with that root chakra. It's a part of that whole organ energy center in itself. So everything that deal with the root chakra can be affected just by you not paying attention to your own sexual energies. like your security, your stability in your life, how you feel about yourself, your anger, your vitality, your life force, your circulation, all that stuff will be affected. But so basically, I say like I'm gonna end it off with this because we 20 minutes in, right? My phone get hot again. I'm gonna say it like this: if you got a physical sexual urge problem, you got physical sexual urges. What's gonna help you is the sexual transmutations. You know, pranayama, aka the deep breathing that circulates energy, chi, the sexual energy throughout the body. Boosting your circulation, help your circulation, increase your circulation. Exercise, you see what I'm saying? Stretching that gets the blood circulating. Yogas, getting a massage. You know, massage is breaking up the tension, releasing tension, getting the blood circulation, energy circulating. Tai chi, qigong, all that stuff like that. Physical things what can help you in those situations. You see what I'm saying? Um, but when you got a mental sexual urge, I don't care if it's because you masturbate too much or whatever like that, or you have too much sex. If it's mental and it's not because you got a whole bunch of pent up energy, it's just because you're just addicted to doing it, and you doing it because you feel unfulfilled inside, so you subconsciously trying to fulfill this area that you lack internally because you don't have it fulfilled internally. Then you need to be in a situation. If it's a mental sexual urge, that you be in a situation where you you like I said cater to more. Hold on, where you cater more so to. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling, but that's what I'm gonna cut to chase. My last thing I'm gonna say, but it's to be in a situation where you cater more so towards doing more mental activities, mental exercises, mental practices, more internal practices and stuff like that that cater to your sexual energy. So that way you end up fulfilling yourself internally and fulfilling yourself sexually. Because for you, since you have a mental sexual urge, you lack something internally. That's why you keep trying to fulfill it externally. AKA, you lack something internally sexually. You don't have your sexuality internally fulfilled. So you keep trying to fulfill it externally. So what you need to do is just like I said, have expand on your sexual imagination. Expand on your sexual imagination. Expand on your sexual emotions and feelings. But especially, like I said, your sexual imagination. Everything that deals with internally, sexually, put more energy work into that. Cater to that a little bit more. And believe it or not, over time you'll start finding yourself needing these other things less and less. Because no matter how look, it's gonna get hard. It ain't never gonna be perfect. It's gonna be hard. You're gonna feel stuck. You're gonna feel like it's just worth it, all that stuff. But you gotta realize that it's because you lack something internally. It's no other reason why you're doing this. It's because you lack energy internally. You don't put that much energy work into these areas of life, aka specifically we talk about in this situation, sexuality. You specifically don't put a lot of energy work internally towards your sexuality, which is why you probably don't have that many sex dreams too. You don't even have sex dreams, so of course you don't even have sex dreams. You're not gonna manifest actual sex in your life. So what you gotta realize is that's how things play out, and you got to realize that. So the more you cater and put more energy work into fulfilling yourself sexually internally, aka dealing with mentally, like sexual imagination, all that stuff like that, that'll help. You see what I'm saying? That'll help. Now certain things can help too. Like don't get it twisted. Talk about internally is like root chakra meditations. You know something like root chakra meditation, meditating on the root chakra. You know those things do help. But in totality, because they'll help you expand your awareness of why you lack, why and what you lack too. Don't get it twisted. But as far as just getting straight to the point, the central core of what you lacking is because you don't put that much sexual energy into whatever area of life that you in. In this case, it would be sexual. You don't put that much sexual uh, energy towards your internal realm. You don't imagine sex enough. You don't have that broad of a sexual imagination. You probably rarely ever sexually imagine. I went to one point I was like, damn, not only do I never really have any this is a while ago, right? I was realizing, damn, not only do I not really have that much sexual dreams, I used to say, man, then I started realizing, damn, you talk about root chakra and all these imaginations and energy you put in. I was like, damn, I barely ever I barely ever put any internal work towards my sexuality. AKA, I barely ever imagine sex. I barely ever expand my sexual imagination. It'd be every pink or blue moon when I came across certain information that was beneficial, like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, because it'll help you manifest this, or it'll help you cater to that energy, chakra, and all that stuff. That was the only, and that's every pink moon. Not even blue moon, that was every pink moon. So it's like, I started realizing, damn, not only do I not have that many sex dreams, I never really imagined about sex. Hardly never ever imagined sex. So at that point, of course, my sexual chakra was vacant. Of course, I had problems controlling my sexual energy. Cause think about it. I was at the time I was hella unfulfilled. Think about how unfulfilled you are. You already not attracted to sex because you know your energy's not spiraling anyway. So you're not physically not having sex. But then it's like you're not even having sexual dreams, and then you're not even realizing that until later on that damn throughout your whole life you rarely ever even have sexual imagination. So you ain't never feeding. And this all this is awareness because you can't have a sense of intuition without having a sense of fire, aka imagination, imagination and vision. That's attached to fire. You can't have a sense of vision or intuition about something without having a sense of imagination. So just dealing with the root chakra and sexuality, if you're not having no sexual imagination, you ain't never gonna have no sexual intuition, aka knowing knowing yourself sexually best, knowing intuitively what's best for you sexually, knowing how to better cater to your sexual energies to make your sexual energy better, knowing how to direct and control your sexual energies better, having better activities to do that can better cater to you sexually that'll help that energy. You know what I'm saying? Help you control that energy one, either one, or have you attract more people. See what I'm saying? So that's why I say that internal sexual practices go deep, and especially if you got a mental sexual urge. If you got a physical sexual urge, it's more so predicated upon actual sexual practices that you can do to transmit that energy. But if you got a mental sexual urge, which a lot of people do, you want to do stuff more so dealing with in your internal realm, more so stuff mentally that deal with sexuality. So you end up fulfilling internally yourself sexually. You sexually internally fulfill yourself. So you don't have to continually have to find new things and feel like you got to find the next high. How do you feel that? You build more sexual awareness within you and you expand your sexual imagination so you be fulfilled within yourself. And then over time, you're going to realize, damn, you need these external things less and less. You need to, now I'm not trying to be funny, but you need to jack off less and less. You need to try to have sex with as many people as you want less and less. And you start feeling more fulfilled within yourself. So you still healthy, you still can have these different things and have sex with other people and stuff like that. But the point is not what you're doing, it's how you do it. You have more control over it. You don't be addicted. That's the whole point, not to be addicted. None of these things are right and wrong. All these are just energies you utilize, but so you don't end up being addicted to it. You see what I'm saying? And that's what's most important. So if you got a mental sexual urge, you need to focus more so on internal sexual practices. As hard as it may get, you probably gonna be like, man, this shit ain't work. I'm telling you, the more energy work you put into it, you expanding your sexual awareness. So your intuition is going to be stronger throughout the day. You're going to start finding more things, having more ideas that you can do throughout the day that'll better help you control that energy in the first place. That's one. Two, you're going to start feeling the need to do these things externally less and less anyway because you're actually being fulfilled internally with what you like. You see what I'm saying? And then that's the root of you actually healing your problem. But if you got a mental sexual urges, you have to do it from an internal point of view. You can't be so focused on the physical exercise as much because those aren't the root cause of your problem. Don't get frustrated because eventually, we all gonna fail. You fall short. This is like a dope addict. Nobody's perfect. You gotta slowly work your way up, but over time you will see a difference. And this is the only way to actually beat the root cause of your problem. Or else you're gonna find always feeling yourself addicted to whatever it is you're addicted to. But especially in this case, talking about sexuality. So with that being said, I hope y'all understand the message that I was have given today. Everybody don't deal with these things, but a lot of people do. A lot of people don't teach sexuality the way they should and the way they could. So people don't physically know how to heal themselves or how to chase the root part of their problems. You see what I'm saying? So people don't know how to deal with their sexual energies. People just have all this pent up sexual energy, not knowing how to control it, not know how to transmute it. And then look, these be the people who end up growing up and being. I'm not trying to say be funny, but these be the people who end up growing up and being pedos. These be the people growing up and being sexual assaulters. These be the people growing up being people that practice all kind of negative stuff sexually and do other stuff bad to other people, all because they don't know how to transmute their energy and they're not fully aware of themselves. I hate to say it, and I'm not saying it's right, but you can have two people that's into the same freak ass thing, but one person know how to transmute his energy better, and he know himself. He internally sexualized. So when he go within, he imagine, he do his meditation, whatever imagination, sexual imagination he got that he expand on. It don't matter how freaky or creepy it is. He keep that with. I'm not saying these things are right or wrong. I'm not trying to get into it. I know how y'all minds think, but I'm just saying he'll be in a space where he internalized all these things. So he don't have to feel like he got to go out and do these things to somebody else and harm them or put that pressure on somebody else externally to fulfill something that he already internally doesn't feel like he's fulfilled because he's already fulfilled in that area internally. So you don't have to go out and try to fulfill it because he's already fulfilled internally with that energy. Whereas another person over there could be in the exact same thing, but he's not fully aware of himself. He's not internally fulfilled. He don't he don't expand his imagination on these things and internally fulfill these things internally. So he go out externally to do it because he don't know himself, right? A sense that's a lack of enlightenment, inner light. I'm telling you, I'm telling you. In order to have a sense of inner light and inner knowing, you have to have a sense of imagination. Imagination is the light. That's the fire element spiritually. You have to have a sense of inner light, enlightenment, in order to have a sense of intuition about your life. So you gonna if you don't have a sense of inner light and inner imagination about these things in any area of your life, particularly we talk about sexuality. So in this case, if you don't have no sense of sexual imagination at all, you're never gonna have a true sense of sexual intuition about what you should do with your own sexual energies to benefit and cater to you the best way it can. And it starts off with you know how to control your sexual energy, doing things that can better boost your own sexual energy, and soon, shortly, it's gonna manifest in you actually manifesting a partner that can please you in these areas. You're not gonna have to be a dope or a weirdo that has to go out and assault people or do weird stuff to other people because you lack an energy internally within you that you feel like you need to go out and externally fulfill by doing it with other people or being addicted to whatever you're doing, even if it's not extreme. Just apply it as addicting anything sexually that you externally doing because you're trying to fulfill something internally that you lack. No, you'll internally be fulfilled in these areas. So you won't feel the need to go out and have to try to actually do them with other people or be addicted to these things in general. And that's the best way I could say it. So that sexual imagination, and not even just sexual imagination period, but that internal energy of imagination go deep. I'm trying to tell you, a lot of time we live our lives and we get washed away by the current. We get led to do this, led to do that, and we don't know why we lost into things. We don't know why we have a hard time manifesting certain things. We don't know why we have a hard time getting certain things in our life that go in our favor. Why we have a hard time with control and not knowing what to do for us, the best way that works for us. I'm trying to tell you that junk go deep because you'll never have a sense of true intuition without having a sense of inner light, aka inner vision, inner imagination. You never put energy work into these things. You never gonna know how to actually go about it or how to find the best ways that cater to you in these areas. You see what I'm saying? And you'll always be lost in the sense of not knowing how to do it. You never will be fulfilled. And remember, if you never fulfill, you're gonna be in a situation where you're gonna constantly trying to fulfill stuff externally outside of you, not knowing that all it's gonna do is create addictions because you never actually be internally fulfilled for real. That's why you have to continually always keep trying to do it because if for you to be addicted, that means you're not truly fulfilling it, or else you wouldn't have to feel like you have to keep trying to fulfill it outside of you constantly for it to be an addiction. You would have did it one time and it would have fulfilled you, but no, a person gotta feel like they gotta constantly do it to fulfill themselves, and then you know that whatever they're doing externally is truly not fulfilling them in the first place. And it's just something that they lack internally, that they lack a sense of fulfillment in that area of their life internally. So with that being said, I know I'm rambling, I know I'm going on, but I did want to kind of be. I thought it was gonna be shorter, but I had to get that out, bro, because that is a very important thing, and that's not just sexuality. That's all things. Because people are really going through stuff in their own life, in different areas of their life, and it's important to know the root cause of whatever you're going through. In this case, we specifically talk about sexual addictions. You got physical sexual urges, you got mental sexual urges. Physical sexual urges equal you need to do sexual transmutative exercises that move and circulate that energy, whether it's yoga, stretching, exercise, deep breathing, pranayama, qigong, tai chi, any exercise, massage. All that is releasing and transmuting this pent up sexual energy. That'll work for the physical sexual people that have physical sexual urges. But if you got a mental sexual urge, the thing that's gonna help you is doing internal practices and mental practices that cater to your sexuality. So you end up being more internally sexually fulfilled. So you don't have to feel like you have to keep doing external things outside of you to fulfill what you lack inside internally in the first place. So with that being said, I just ended it out perfectly. Peace.